Hi, I'm David Wondrich, senior drinks columnist for the Daily Beast, and because it's 2020, I'm here in my backyard in Brooklyn, not at Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans, but whatever, it's all good. And I'm here to talk about rum. Here virtually with a bunch of people from Jamaica and Barbados and France, and we're going to look at some fantastic and interesting distilleries that are practically living museums of rum distillation. And we're going to look at some of the historically cool and interesting aspects of what they do. But first I should introduce everybody. You know who I am. We're going to be talking to, I'm going to use my notes because that's what I would do if I were doing this in person. From National Rums of Jamaica, we're going to be talking to Kevin Barnett, the plant manager at Long Pond, this fabled Long Pond Distillery, to Flovia Riley, she's the production manager at Clarendon Distillery, another fabled distillery, and also to Robert Gordon, the blender at Clarendon Distillery. And then from the West Indies Rum Distillery in Barbados, we're going to be talking to Don Benn, the master distiller, to Dario Jordan, the rum production controller, and we're also going to be talking to Alexandre Gabriel, the master blender and owner. And between all of us, hopefully, we'll learn a little bit about rum and just see some cool stuff.
West Indies Rum was founded in 1893 by the States brothers, a few meters away from Brighton Beach in Barbados. We have been at the center of making Barbados rum for the last 130 years, and we are well known for the quality and variety of the rums we produce. This is actually made possible by the diverse range of stills we have here at West Indies Rum Distillery. We have column stills, we have copper pot stills, some from as far back as the 19th century, and even a rare 3-chamber still, with famous names like the Vulcan, the Greg Farm, the Blair, and the John Doerr. These stills are well complemented by the abundance of information we have in our vault, where we have stored the old rum-making techniques and traditions. These actually form the basis of our experimentation and research. Whether it is using seawater or bacteria in fermentation to create unique flavor profiles, or the using different types of woods to age our rums. And none of this is possible without our team. Our staff is our most valuable asset. This talented and passionate team is committed to preserving the heritage of Barbados rum and is proud to be making a positive contribution to our island's rich rum culture and to our economy. When you get an opportunity, come and see this for yourself. Experience our island and our people and share in this rich history.
What is Barbados rum? A great question. Of course, there's many expressions. The way I look at it is Barbados is the fruit and the result of its very, very long history. Remember, Barbados is the country where there was the first time the mention of rum in 1650, so very long history. And Barbados culture is about keeping the past and learning from the present. And that's very true in the rum. Barbados was a country that adopted the column still and even had its own patent about column distillation thanks to George Stade's West Indies Rum Distillery in 1893. And while they adopted this, at the time, modern technique, they kept the old pot stills and creating a perfect blend with the two. And that's still very true about Barbados, the balance, the elegance, the elegant fruit notes, slight chocolate, raw chocolate notes, that are all very well balanced, and the integration of the wood aging that you will see with vanillin and some coconut elements. That's something very specific to Barbados that you find in the true expressions.
West Indies Rum Distillery was founded in 1893 by George Stade, a German with an interesting distilling background, who basically brought modern distilling techniques to Barbados. He installed, as far as we know, the first column still on the island, and really kind of updated things and moved things forward for a rum industry that had fallen pretty much by the wayside at the time. West Indies today has, of course, column stills, but it's also got pot stills, and it even has a three-chamber still. Now, three-chamber still is something you really don't see anymore. It was a 19th century piece of American technology used extensively for making rye whiskey in America, and really used nowhere else, except this one apparently made it down to the Caribbean at some point, and it turns out it makes very interesting rum. It sort of splits the difference between a pot still and a column still, and concentrates the aromatics in a different way, and it's very cool.
Okay, so here we have the famous Vulcan three-chamber still. As far as we know, it's a very rare still, and it's probably the only one of its kind still existing in the world today. Now, how it operates is that there's a top chamber or a preheat chamber. There's a middle chamber, which is the largest one, and there's a bottom chamber, which is the boiling chamber. To start, we put wash in the top and the middle and water in the base. We then apply heat indirectly to the bottom. Vapors are formed, and that is used to distill the middle chamber. Those vapors then preheat the top chamber and flow through a series of condensers on their way to the storage. Now, for the next batch, what we do then is transfer each chamber. First, the bottom chamber is dumped to drain. Then the middle chamber is transferred to the bottom. The top chamber is transferred to the middle, and a new batch is put into the top for preheat. And we do that cycle then 5 times over the course of the day. Now, the product from this is very unique based on how those interactions take place between the separate chambers. And at the end of it, you can get a product that ranges between 40% up to barrel strength. Sometimes you barrel right away. Other times, we send it to a second distillation in our Greg Farm still.
So, the Vulcan still, the three-chamber still, roughly, how does it work?
So basically, we start with liquid in each chamber, the top, the middle, and the bottom. We then apply steam to the bottom chamber. That heat rises through to the middle chamber where the distilling occurs, and then the vapor from that chamber rises through the top chamber, preheating the liquid that's there, and then the vapor continues over into a partial condenser. The liquid that condenses there returns to the middle chamber as reflux, and the rest of the vapors continue to the final condenser. There, we can take the product sample and decide which receiver it needs to go to.
Is it easy to use?
Digger here can show you exactly what he would do on a normal day. So the first thing he would do is to apply steam, and basically after he does that, he needs to see the impact of that steam. So he would then monitor his temperature to see how the Vulcan is operating. He can also take a sample to test the strength, and basically that's how easy it is to operate the Vulcan.
What's the ABV of the spirit that comes off of it?
The product from the Vulcan is going to come off near the barreling strength and as low as bottling strength. So that's anywhere between 40 to 65% strength just for the first distillate.
What's the spirit that comes off of this still like? What does it taste like? How is it different from other spirit, from the other rum that you make?
The first distillate from the Vulcan product is clear, similar to the column distillation or the pot distillation, but the complexity and the compounds within it are heavier than a column distillation, yet lighter than a pot distillation. This sits just in between the two types of distillations. And with the Vulcan, we can achieve a more rounded, yet heavier than the pot still product.
And how does this spirit react to aging?
So here we have 2 samples. In my right hand is a fresh sample from the Vulcan. In my left hand is a 6-month-old sample that has been aged in a bourbon barrel. Very sweet, but yet very floral. After 6 months aging, the ester note comes through a lot more prominently. It's more rounded and balanced. So yes, the barrel does add a lot of complexity to the sample from the Vulcan.
Here we stand at the center of the distillery with more than 100 years of heritage and more than 100 years of experimentations. Our research team are looking into the archives to see what was done then, to see what we can do now. Part of that is to look back at the wooden vats that were used in fermentations up to the late 1900s. And now our research team is looking to use that again to see what new flavors we can use. We're even looking at the seawater experimentations done in the past to see what they can offer now in the future. Now we turn here to one of our oldest pieces of equipment, which was built in the late 1800s. Now this, we can tell, is from the late 1800s because of the style of the rivets. That style was faded out for modern, more efficient practices, and we can tell that that was made in the late 1800s. We can also tell from the structure of the base, which is curved, that was fire-driven and not steam-driven at the time. There were then conversions to make it steam-driven. And we have this very unique neck. It's a straight neck with a slightly tilted line arm, and that gives us a particular profile, particular sense of quality that we can now reproduce for our productions. We can produce up to 85% rums on this pot still.
What is Jamaican rum? Everybody's gonna have a slightly different definition, but Jamaican rum always has this ripe fruit note, what we call the technicians the esters, elements that are ripe banana, fresh pineapple, mango elements that are very specific, and the way Jamaican rum is fermented and is produced will create these specific elements. A very strong per nationality, usually a great intensity. Jamaicans have always been enamored with pot still rum, the heaviest style with pot still you can achieve. And to this day, this is a type of rum that I love a lot. And if you look at Jamaican history, you have some wonderful people like H.H. Cousins and so on, who have been championing this way of fermenting and distilling, which still defines what is Jamaican rum today.
I am Robert Gordon, the Quality Assurance Manager and Blender at National Rums of Jamaica Limited. A brief history of National Rums of Jamaica. National Rums is the parent company of 3 operating sites, namely Clarendon Distillers, here Long Pond Distillers in TRELAWNY, and Inwood Distillers in St. Catherine. Clarendon specializes in column and pot still rums, Long Pond in only pot still rums, and Inwood, as I mentioned earlier, is our aging facility where all our rums are barreled and stored for various years. In 2009, we commissioned a new column still plant that houses a new column that can produce up to 40,000 LAAs per day, and a new 600 US gallons or 250 hectoliter Distillation pot still also was commissioned in 2009 as a way of expanding our operations. In addition, a 800 horsepower Cleaver Brooks boiler was added to our system, 500 kW steam turbine, a new water treatment system, also a new vinasse disposal system.
Clarendon Distillers Limited currently has 75 employees and sits on 7 acres of land. On this land, we have a newly done distribution system for the fertigation of the cane fields, which is actual liquid fertilizer.
The Clarendon distillery is on the Money Musk estate in southern Jamaica, where they've been distilling rum since the 1750s. Again, when Jamaica was the rum king of the world. It's unique because it's situated on the Salt River. The saltwater fermentation is something that they used to do in rum making, and it's something that hasn't really been explored in a long time, but Clarendon has been sitting there quietly making a lot of rum there. The distillery today is from the 1940s, very different, and has large modern column stills, but it also has retort stills, which is early 19th century technology, a way of more efficiently running a pot still while still getting that pot still flavor. And we're going to take a look at those. They're fascinating and really not used outside of the Caribbean.
My name is Flovia Riley, and I am the production manager here at Clarendon Distillers Limited, where we do both column still and pot still rum. This is the Vendome still. We call it the number 3 pot still here at Clarendon Distillers. It has a capacity of 20,000 liters wash and averages about 3 to 4 cycles per day. The wash is heated via calandria, and the vapor goes into the low wine retort, where it is further heated, the strength is built, and it goes into the low wine retort, then into the condenser, then comes out as product. It has a double retort system. Each retort is previously filled with what we call low wine and high wine. The high wine at 80% alcohol and the low wine at 40% alcohol. This is used to enrich the vapor that is coming over and to strengthen the final product, which comes out at about 85%. For the column still section of the plant, we have yeast propagation, fermentation, and distillation. The fermentation house houses 2 20,000 liter capacity propagators, 4 200,000 liter fermenters with post-fermentation clarification. Whilst for distillation, we have a 4-column distillation unit. The pot still section of the plant is a previously existing building before the commissioning of the column still section in 2010. The pot still section has fermentation and pot still distillation. For fermentation, however, we have both heavy fermentation and light fermentation. Heavy fermentation, where we house the acid slop vats. These are 12 wooden oak vats with capacity of 3,000 imperial gallons. For light fermentation, we have 3 20,000 liter propagators and 24 vats for fermentation, which each holds 90,000 liters of wash. This is distilled on the pot still, which can be either heavy rum or light rum. Heavy rum, for example, the MLC mark, and light rum, the MBK mark. The pot still section of the plant is also where you find our rum storage area.
Our rums are produced from fermented wash. Molasses is obtained from local and international sugar mills. The molasses is diluted with water from boreholes, which are in close proximity to the distillery. This diluted molasses is added to a yeast culture medium, which is of the Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast strain, which acts as a catalyst in light fermentation. This fermentation lasts up to 36 to 40 hours. This fermentation style is used to produce our column still rums and our light pot still rums. Our heavy pot fermentation, however, in addition to the diluted molasses, we add wild yeast from the cane foliage, and this is also boosted using a cane acid medium. This, combined with the ecology unique to the Clarendon territory, which is in the southern section of the island, gives our rum a unique, distinct flavor. Our light pot still rums are usually of a sweet sugarcane sensory note, and our heavy pot rums are of a more funkier, type of sensory flavor which is predominantly of a compound which is ethyl acetate. Our rums basically produced at the plant are from our column and pot. A few of our column still rums are MBS, which is of fruity, creamy flavor, CRVM, which is fruity and sweet, and MSR, which has a light banana characteristics. Our range of pot still marks, however, are a combination of our light pot and our heavy pot rum.
Welcome to Long Pond Distillers Limited. My name is Kevin Barnett, plant manager of Long Pond Distillers Limited. The earliest known existence of Long Pond Distillers Limited is 1753. Today, Long Pond Distillers Limited, owned by National Rum since 1980, is a grand amalgamation of over 17 estates. By location, Long Pond Distillers Limited is nested in the north coast of Jamaica, 18 kilometers from the historic Falmouth Pier and centrally located between the resort towns of Ocho Rios and Montego Bay. Long Pond Distillers Limited produce a wide range of world-renowned marks, ranging from 50 to 1600 esters. These include the ITP, VRW as mentioned before, as well as the Tilson Estate Continental Series. Our fermentation process engages two areas, a light wash fermentation area and a heavy wash fermentation area. The light wash fermentation area utilizes 3 40,000 gallon fermenters, while the heavy wash fermentation area utilizes over 100 wood vats. In terms of distillation capacity, Long Pond Distillers Limited currently have 5 double retort pot stills, 3 3,500 gallons John Doerr pot stills, and 2 Blair's pot stills. One of these is a 3,500 gallon Blair pot still installed in 1965, and the other is a 1,500 gallon Blair pot still installed in 1975. Long Pond Distillers Limited also have a column still, which was taken out of operation in 2010 due to Dunder-related activities. However, this still is in good condition and can be rehabilitated if required. Long Pond Distillers Limited currently have a fully committed and experienced staff complement with over 23 years average experience at the distillery. We are a very environmentally compliant organization, and we have also been a very socially responsible organization who has never ever forgotten our responsibility to have a social license with the community.
Long Pond Distillery is very old. It was founded in 1753 in Jamaica as part of Jamaica's then very much thriving rum industry. Long Pond is in TRELAWNY Parish, and TRELAWNY was the heart of the northern Jamaican style of rum making, where they made big, brawny, heavy, very aromatic and pungent rums, the kind that could stand mixing into a bowl of punch or mixing into anything really and still stand out. Little of that kind of rum is made in the world today, but Long Pond has been recognized as one of the true classics and one of the upholders of this incredibly rich tradition. And we're going to take a look at one of the things that's a part of that tradition, and that is their muck pit. Muck pits are something Jamaican distillers were using in the 19th century. Anything kind of left over during the distilling process would end up in a little hole in the ground where they might let it fester and ferment and bubble away, and then if they needed a little extra flavor, they'd put some into their rum. In the 1890s, when Germany changed their tariff laws, suddenly it became too expensive for Germany to import huge amounts of Jamaican rum. So the Jamaican distillers went to their muck pits and made the craziest, most concentrated, most aromatic rum the world has ever seen, so that you could just put a little of that in with a lot of other stuff and it would still taste like rum.
Hi, I'm Craig Nicholson, production superintendent here at the Long Pond Distillers Limited. Now, Long Pond has a rich history of producing some of the most flavorful and heavy-bodied rums in the world. That is very typical of the northern Jamaican style. We do this by incorporating over 250 years of fermentation experience and by utilizing two methods, light fermentation and heavy fermentation. Our light fermentation utilizes commercial yeast, while our heavy fermentation utilizes natural yeast from the environment. Our fermentation time also plays a key role in helping to develop our flavors. Long fermentation periods can go from 2 weeks up to 4 weeks to develop the flavors that we require. Dunder or vinasse, what remains in the still after distillation, is actually used to increase the acidic content in our heavy wash fermentation, which is a key component to producing the high esters and aromas that is so typical of Long Pond rums. We use our muck pits to incorporate very complex organic acids into our heavy wash fermentation, which assists in adding the very rich flavors and compounds that you can find in our Long Pond marks.
The rum marks are really the heritage of a distillery. And if you think about Long Pond, you think about the STCE, you know, it comes with a little heart. You're thinking about Clarendon, you're thinking of the MMW. And you might think, what are these initials meaning? Well, they actually refer either to the creator, or the distillery they were purchased from. For example, VRW, that belongs to Long Pond, refers to Vale Royal Wedderburn, which is a style of concentration. So these are not just initials people throw against the wall, they are part of the heritage. You cannot just create a rum mark and call it that way. It's got to be registered, and that's part of the heritage of this wonderful distillery. In the incredible story of Long Pond, there's a moment that it will stay stuck in me, tattooed and burnt in letters inside of me, was this fire that destroyed part of the distillery in 2018. And I will still remember the phone call from the late Winston Harrison, who called me to say there was a fire. I was actually at Tales of a Cocktail, ready to do a presentation about our plantation in Jamaica, when I received that phone call. That still resonates in my head. Very emotional, but thank God, Long Pond makes rum again.
Long Pond Distillers Limited produce a wide range of world-renowned marks, generally from 2 fermentation areas. A light pot still fermentation area that is used to produce light pot still rum, and in the past was used to produce column still rum until 2010, when the column still was taken out of operation. There is also a heavy wash fermentation area, a vat house, which in the past had over 100 wooden vats that were used to produce higher esters. So the entire vat house fermentation area was destroyed by a massive fire in 2018. This vat house is being rebuilt and is about 95% complete. We have taken the opportunity to design and build a modern steel frame building, and we'll be installing 24 wooden vats, 12 10,000 gallons oak vats, 6 4,000 gallons oak vats, and 6 3,000 gallons oak vats. We have also taken the opportunity to design and build this vat house to be environmentally friendly. As such, it is being constructed with a properly sized bund to contain spillage. With this experienced and committed staff, we are comfortable that once we're able to complete the construction of the vat house, we will be able to reproduce all the existing marks and to reposition Long Pond as a primary producer of high quality, high ester, and flavorful rum in the Caribbean. So whenever you choose to visit Jamaica, whether for a business trip or for your perfect vacation getaway, feel free to reserve some amount of time for the Long Pond experience. We'll be happy to have you.
Well, I would like to thank you all for attending this really pretty cool look inside some of the secrets of Jamaican and Bajan distilling, really some of the historic secrets of rum. And thank you all, and cheers.